let's talk about Change Your Mind. We immediately get a Pink Diamond flashback where Blue reprimands her and gets freaked out by the caterpillar-looking organic that is crawling on her face, which, let's be honest, we would all have that reaction if there was a bug crawling on our face. Like, I've had that reaction before. We get a little insight as to why White has Pink's original pearl. Steven has an in-dream identity crisis, then wakes up and Blue comes in mirroring the dream he was having. He stands up to Blue and she gets pretty upset by it, until Steven calls her out on everything she's been doing, which causes Blue to realize just why Pink left. She helps him escape and find the crystal gems, only to be brought face to face with Yellow, who obviously knew Blue would do that. Now, in Yellow's room, you see bubbled forced fusions, which is honestly pretty unsettling. I don't want to spend too much time on that, though, just because there's not much to say about it other than it's horrifying to look at. Yellow flips out and tries grabbing Steven, which prompts the Diamonds to full-on brawl. Blue hits a sensitive topic with Yellow and she tries to destabilize Blue. Steven then throws his shield at Yellow to stop her from continuing the blast. And then they talk and Yellow drops to her knees in tears, which I didn't expect. Like, holy crap. And then we get confirmation that Yellow's blast keeps gems from reforming for longer periods of time. Then White Pearl shows up, delivers that creepy line, and then boom! Diamond Mech. We knew it was coming, but it was incredible to see anyway. But to top that off, in flies the arm ships piloted by Bismuth, Lapis, and Peridot. And they knock the incomplete mech off its feet. And honestly, I full-on screamed seeing Lapis and Peridot's new forms. And I know it wasn't a reference to it, but I got some hella Dirk vibes from Peridot. It gets cheesy for a minute and they decide to talk to White. Taking control of the arm and leg ships, they keep the mech from moving. And from there, things just go so very wrong. Yellow and Blue get blasted and stripped of their color and free will, which was honestly fucking terrifying. And I will say though, seeing the mech's face while they talked was hilarious to me. I don't know why, it was just like blank stare, wide eyes. I don't know, it was just funny. Anyway. White drops the remaining crystal gems, and then Steven drops the poof gems. It's all dramatic as they're falling and whatnot, and he grabs Amethyst and manages to fuse with her, which pulls her out of her gem. He then proceeds to unfuse from Amethyst and do the same with Pearl, and oh my god, Rainbow Quartz 2.0. Our first male-presenting fusion. Mary Poppins. Who? And then Steven and, well, Rainbow Quartz 2.0 lands, grabs Garnet's gems, Ruby and Sapphire, and Pearl and Steven unfuse. Pearl gets super excited because they fused, and then Steven fuses with Garnet, which was momentarily interrupted by the foot of the mech coming down. But then we get a flaming, Jersey Girl sounding 90s fusion Sunstone. Thanks for the PSA, sugar. Sunstone's plan doesn't go too well, and then they all fuse into the Temple Fusion Obsidian, which is literally my favorite fusion aesthetically, even though she reminds me of Taka from Moana. Bismuth gives Connie her new sword, and we get an almost reunited-esque fight scene. I want to know how Peridot is still so cocky, though. Like, I love her, but How? I need that level of confidence in my life. Obsidian makes this massive glowing sword and wrecks the mech a bit before they are smashed into a wall with the mech's face, and they unfuse. They then crawl inside White's ship through the eye hole, and my first thought with that was, she's gonna blast him. But that didn't happen. Plot convenience, I guess. They try to talk to White, and she makes some really messed up comments about the impurities of yellow and blue and pink. Talking about how she's just so perfect and blah blah blah. And then Amethyst comes up and she's like, yo, what is she talking about? This doesn't make any sense. And then White Diamond grays the crystal gems, which leads to a horror movie-like scene where you see White Diamond controlling the gems and talking through them. And then Connie comes in and ends up fighting with Pearl. Connie doesn't get too far. Her sword's thrown away from her, and then White is talking smack on Steven, which causes, like, an identity crisis, and she, like, snatches him up and pulls his gem out. We get to see the gem reform into Pink, then Rose, then Steven. And then we get this scene where Steven is pretty much dying on screen. And Pink Steven has the iconic "she's gone" scream. Then White tries to blast Pink Steven, and it's repeatedly deflected until the final deflection knocks everyone in the room down. The two Stevens fuse in the most gorgeous and fluid scene I have ever seen. White has a tantrum and says Steven is acting like a child, and he's like, I am a child. What's your excuse? And I still don't really get why, but that, like, makes White Diamond start to turn pink and blush, and then all of the other gems that are there start to turn pink too. And then she starts to, like, freak out about it, and she loses control on everybody. And then she turns to Blue and Yellow for help, who are in turn horrified by the sight. And Yellow remarks that White is off color. And then it gets kind of sappy between Steven and White. And Steven's like, oh, you're gonna have to leave your own head. And then they go to Earth, where Sadie is performing Greg's song. Lars and the off-colors land, and Rhodonite was like, ooh, no more Diamond Authority. Then the screen pans over to the diamonds, and then back to her, and she's like, well, we're correct. I thought it was pretty funny. Then you get to see Lars and Sadie reunite, which is the most adorable scene I've seen ever. I swear to God. Also, like, really realistic to how that would go in real life with two people. Anyway, yeah. Sadie brings Steven up on stage, and he sings the Change Your Mind version of the Crystal Gem opening theme song. And it plays through till, like, pretty much the end. And you see the diamonds go look at Centipedal and grab all the bubble gems, then the diamonds and Steven get into Rose's fountain. And you get to see corruption cured. But the interesting thing about that is that, even though corruption is healed, it still has, like, scarring. Like with Jasper, she has bluish green spots on her body, and she still has horns. which honestly kind of looks cool, I'm not gonna lie, but then you get to see Jasper getting ready to, like, wreck Steven until she notices the other diamonds. Then Amethyst comes over and she says something to Jasper, and she just kind of sinks into the water and whatnot. Then you get to the very end, where they're all sitting on the beach, and it ends up mirroring, like, the end of the opening scene, or theme song, I guess. And Steven sings a self-love song, and it's just like a super sweet ending. But to me, it kind of feels more like a series finale rather than a season finale, because I personally don't know where they're gonna go from here. Because, like, we got all of our questions answered, we've seen all of the fusions, and, well, I guess not all, because I still want to see Lapis and Peridot fuse, even though it probably won't happen. If it was gonna happen, it would have happened during this arc, I think. But yeah, I'm kind of excited to see what happens with it. If there really is a season 6 confirmed, which I've read a lot of places that it is. But yeah, we'll see, I guess.